Hi, I'm Dave Kale. Welcome to this Christian Business Insights podcast show where my goal is to provide you with practical, actionable ideas to help you create businesses and careers of excellence and at the same time multiply your influence for the kingdom. I have been a Christian in business for over 30 years, and I have personally and contractually consulted with over 500 different sales organizations. So in these podcasts, I combine the lessons that I have learned with an out-of-the-box experience and perspective on Christianity that you will find challenging. And we put that together to provide you with practical insights and ideas that you can use to live better and lead better. Welcome to the journey. Hi, this is Dave. Hey, are you your own worst enemy? I think we all are. We all are our own worst enemy in one way or the other. But let's get into this and, see if you can answer this question. Are you your own worst enemy? Over lunch, one of my clients asked me one of the most profound questions I have ever been asked. In your training, he asked, do you focus on instilling new skills into people, or do you focus on removing the internal hindrances to the use of those skills? Wow, what a question. See, from my perspective as a professional trainer and educator and author, etc., I had never met anyone else who even thought in those terms. And of course, this is the kind of thing I think about all the time because, it's my world. The issue was, of course, that which is at the heart of every educator and trainer of adults. If our job is ultimately to change behavior, his question was more or less, quote, what's the best way to change behavior in the adults with whom you work? Now this question has a lot of impact because it goes way beyond just educating and training people. It goes beyond that into the core reason people do what they do. So stay with me here. Now, this particular client was the head of an international nonprofit association. And the focus of the questions was those social workers in his employment whom I was training in better communication skills. So the question is much broader, though, than just that group of folks. And it can be applied to any adult occupation. Most of my work for the last several decades has been with salespeople and sales managers and executives. And in that context, let's put that question into that context. The question could be rephrased to say this: what's the best way to change the behavior of a business person and unleash that person's potential? That's really the question for us. What's the best way to change the behavior of a business person and unleash that person's potential? And for Christians, it's a very similar question because we're held back by the same kinds of things that hold everybody else back. So let's make this personal. What holds you back? What is it that prevents you from achieving your potential? You're a Christian business person, right? What's the best way to change your behavior? What's the best way to unleash your potential? What prevents you from achieving your potential? Is it a lack of skills, or is it internal hindrances that keep you performing at less than your optimum? Or is it some combination of both? Now, before I share my opinion, let me share a couple of experiences that have colored that opinion. Here's one. You're going to find this really interesting. My wife and I were in Soweto, the huge African township in the Johannesburg, South Africa area. And on the day we were visiting there, the elementary school children were on strike. That's right. They were refusing to go to school. Even more curious was the reason why they were on strike. They objected to being graded as individuals. Their rationale was either the whole class passes or the whole class fails, Who are you, a teacher, to single out one of us as better than another? Wow. That tribal paradigm colored all of their thinking and ruled their behavior. See, it doesn't take much thought to see the consequences of that paradigm. If no one is allowed or encouraged to rise up, then very few will ever try. And the entire group will be brought down to the lowest common denominator. In that case, their futures will hold little promise. The potential for achievement and personal growth will be imprisoned by a belief. While that certainly is a dramatic example of beliefs and paradigms limiting our efforts to unleash our potential, it is hardly the only one. How much different is that, I wonder from time to time, from the description which follows of predictable behavior in a sales training workshop. So here's a modern day Western culture example of the same kind of thing happening. Let's say I'm doing a training program on creating questions, and it comes time to create questions in a small group or prepare for a role-playing exercise, and I have discovered predictably 5%, maybe even 10% of the participants suddenly have to make a phone call or use the restroom, and they opt out of the exercise. They find a reason, an excuse to opt out. Now, was their bladder really bursting? Or was it that their ego was so fragile that they didn't want to risk having to actually perform in some small way in the presence of their colleagues? Could it be that their fragile ego serves the same function as the elementary student's tribal paradigm? Could they both be internal beliefs and attitudes that hold back their performance, preventing them from changing their behavior and reaching their potential? Could it be the same thing at work? Absolutely. You know, as a seasoned educator with the experience of having worked with tens of thousands of salespeople, I have concluded that the biggest obstacles to our improved performance come not in the new skills we develop, but rather in the internal obstacles that clutter our psyches. In other words, I can, for example, teach someone the value of asking better questions. I can show them how to create better questions. I can help them gain understanding of what constitutes a better question. I can assist them in creating and editing questions and even help them practice the act of asking better questions. But I cannot overcome their internal obstacles. If they have, for example, a vision of themselves as the glad-handing, always ready for a new joke, life-of-the-party personality, then they won't see themselves as having the interest in the customer to drive the behavior they just learned. Their internal beliefs will trump their learned behaviors. Now, that's not to negate the role of training. Certainly, there are best practices in sales and every other profession, and a well-conceived training session is still one of the best ways to learn the best practices. And a training session from a gifted educator always whittles away at both ends of the spectrum, changing behavior by instilling new ideas and at the same time attacking internal obstacles. But the real point of this monologue is personal. As an individual whose decisions will influence the course of your life, the question is, to what degree do you confront the internal obstacles that hold back your potential? Let me repeat it. That's the question. To what degree do you confront the internal obstacles that hold back your potential? From my experience, the world is full of people who never consider that the reason for their lack of achievement or prosperity or fulfillment or, running a mediocre business, the reason they're not achieving the level of success that they like is inside themselves. The world is full of people who never consider that. They focus on the tactics, they complain about the customers, they complain about their bosses, They fill their days with low-value tasks because it fills up their time. They spend most of their careers in a place of mediocrity of their own making. This is, of course, just as true for Christians who are hindered by internal beliefs and obstacles, just like other folks. So, if you're going to unleash your potential, you must focus on removing the internal hindrances to your performance with the same energy and intentionality that you apply to gaining the skills and competencies of the best in your profession. Okay? So give some thought to internal obstacles. Now I'm going to do a couple more podcasts drilling deeper in this, so stay aware of the podcast coming up. I got 2 more on this particular topic, but we're going to drill a little deeper. Okay? By the way, I think we're right in the middle of our promotional time to promote our Sales Leaders Excellence and Influence course for sales leaders and sales managers. This is a once-a-year course. It's a cohort. We bring a group of people and take them through this course. It's incredibly powerful. It will make a change. It will enhance your career for the rest of your life. And it will make a dramatic impact on the performance of your sales teams. So if you are someone who supervises salespeople, regardless of your title, if you supervise salespeople, this is for you. It will make a difference in your career. The Excellence and Influence program for sales leaders and sales managers, we have trained over 2,000, maybe now 3,000, certainly thousands of sales managers and sales leaders in this course. It is truly career-changing. All right, so I'll leave I'll put a link in the show notes. Check it out. We're taking registrations right now. It's a limited number. We have a cohort. We limit to 15 people. So if you're at all interested, now's the time. You may never have another opportunity to do something like this. Okay, so check out the link in the show notes to the Sales Leaders Excellence and Influence course. That's it. We're done. Bye-bye.